Who is the greatest high school quarterback of all time? Most people might think of well-known names that went on to have successful college or NFL careers. However, the answer might surprise you. Maty Mauk, a name that doesn't often come up in casual football conversations, holds some of the most incredible high school football records, with over 18,000 passing yards and a mind-blowing 219 touchdowns. His stats alone make him stand out. Yet despite this remarkable talent, his career didn't go as many expected. From his meteoric rise in high school to the roller coaster ride in college and his unexpected downfall, Maty Mauk's story is one that combines incredible talent, high expectations, and some unfortunate decisions. In this video, we'll explore the journey from his record-breaking high school days to the pressures he faced in Missouri, the controversies that marred his career, and where he is now. Maty Mauk's high school career wasn't just impressive, it was record-shattering. Playing for Kenton High School in Ohio, Mauk didn't just break records, he demolished them. Over the course of his high school career, he threw for a staggering 18,932 passing yards. To put that into perspective, the average high school quarterback might rack up 4,000 to 5,000 yards total. But Mauk, he was putting up those kinds of numbers in a single season. On top of that, he racked up 219 touchdowns, a stat that will have people shaking their heads in disbelief. He wasn't just a stat machine either, his playstyle set him apart. Mauk was fearless, a true gunslinger who wasn't afraid to throw the deep ball, take risks, and make plays that left fans on the edge of their seats. Of course, the aggressive approach came with some downsides, but we'll get to that. As a freshman, Mauk skipped junior varsity altogether and went straight to varsity. That's almost unheard of, and for most players, that kind of pressure would break them. Not Mauk. In his first year, he threw for 3,313 yards and 36 touchdowns. Those numbers alone would be impressive for a senior, let alone a 14-year-old kid stepping onto the varsity field for the first time. But Mauk was just warming up. By his sophomore year, he was in full control of the offense. He threw for 4,576 yards and 46 touchdowns, while also rushing for 660 yards and adding 11 rushing touchdowns to his stats. His ability to throw and run made him a nightmare for opposing defenses. Try to lock down his receivers, he'd burn you on the ground. Focus on stopping the run, he'd shred you through the air. Then came his junior year, and here's where things go completely insane. Mauk passed for a mind-blowing 5,670 yards and 69 touchdowns. Yes, you read that right. 69 touchdowns in one season. Even though Mauk was putting up video game-like numbers, his aggressive style led to some mistakes. Over his high school career, he threw 63 interceptions, which raised some eyebrows among college scouts. Many wondered if that risk-heavy approach would hold up at the college level, where defenses were faster, more disciplined, and far less forgiving. But despite those concerns, Mauk was a highly sought-after recruit, with major college programs lighting up to sign him. As Maty Mauk's high school career was coming to an end, the recruiting frenzy was in full swing. Schools like Notre Dame, Michigan, Cincinnati, and several others all wanted a piece of the action. But in a move that surprised a lot of people, Mauk chose Missouri. The SEC is widely regarded as the toughest conference in college football, so choosing Missouri meant that Mauk was jumping into the deep end of the pool. Missouri had recently joined the SEC, and they were looking to make a name for themselves in the powerhouse conference. For Mauk, it was the perfect opportunity to prove that his high school numbers weren't just a product of a weak system or inferior competition. The SEC was the proving ground for future NFL talent, and Mauk wanted to show that he could hang with the best. Beyond football, part of the draw was Gary Pinkel, Missouri's head coach at the time. Pinkel had a reputation for developing quarterbacks and getting the best out of his players. Mauk knew that if he wanted to take the next step in his football career, learning under Pinkel was a smart move. Mauk's college career began in 2012, where he redshirted, allowing him to adjust to the speed and complexity of the college game. By 2013, he was the backup QB behind James Franklin, a seasoned starter. Then in a game against Georgia, Franklin went down with an injury, and Mauk was suddenly thrust into the spotlight. In his first big moment, Mauk didn't disappoint, leading Missouri to a 41-28 victory over Georgia. He finished the game with a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown, showing flashes of the playmaker he had been in high school. Next up was a huge test against Florida, and again, Mauk rose to the occasion. He threw for 295 yards, a touchdown, and an interception, helping Missouri to a 36-17 upset victory. These performances earned him SEC Freshman of the Week honors, and suddenly, Mauk was on the national radar. Missouri went on to have an incredible season, finishing 12-2 and winning SEC East in 2014. Mauk's sophomore season saw a mixture of brilliance and inconsistency. He led Missouri to an 11-3 record, including another SEC East title. He threw for 2,648 yards and 25 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. While those numbers were respectable, they also showed his risk-taking tendencies. One particularly rough game came against Georgia, where Mauk threw 4 interceptions and Missouri was shut out 34-0. The same gunslinger mentality that made him exciting to watch was now becoming a liability. By 2015, Mauk was supposed to solidify himself as one of the top quarterbacks in the SEC, but things quickly went south. After the first 4 games of the season, Mauk was suspended for violating team rules. The details were kept under wraps, which only fueled suspicion. Shortly after being reinstated, he got into trouble again, leading to another suspension. Then, the real bomb dropped. A video surfaced showing Mauk snorting what appeared to be a banned substance, and he was indefinitely suspended. It was a shocking fall from grace for a player who had once been seen as the future of Missouri football. Although reports later suggested that the video was from a few years prior, the damage was done. Mauk's college career at Missouri was over, and his dreams of making it to the NFL were hanging by a thread. After leaving Missouri, Mauk transferred to Eastern Kentucky in a bid to revive his football career. Unfortunately, injuries plagued him, and he couldn't find the form that he had once made him such a promising star. He played in just 2 games for Eastern Kentucky before a season-ending injury forced him to the sidelines. One of his most notable games was against Purdue, where he went just 2 for 7 with 2 interceptions. It was clear that his body and career were breaking down. Mauk even tried to continue his football journey in the Canadian Football League, but then again, injuries derailed the comeback attempt, and it became evident that his football days were behind him. Once his playing days were finally over, Mauk had to figure out what came next. Like many former athletes, he faced a tough transition. He found a new purpose in coaching, joining the staff at Glendale High School as a defensive coordinator. Coaching allowed Mauk to stay connected to the game he loved, and he used his experience, both the highs and the lows, to mentor young players. Beyond coaching, Mauk got involved in real estate and investing, carving out a new career for himself outside of football. It was a smart move, allowing him to build a stable future after the uncertainty of his football career. Maty Mauk's story is a complicated one. On the one hand, he was a high school legend, a record breaker whose talent was undeniable. But on the other, his college career was marred with controversy, inconsistency, and personal struggle. In the end, Mauk's story is about more than just football. It's a story of resilience, redemption, and finding new ways to succeed when life doesn't go according to plan. What do you think? Was Maty Mauk's career a story of wasted potential or one of perseverance and growth? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more in-depth stories on athletes' careers.